Welcome to sunny Lake Placid in the Adirondack Mountains, upstate New York. The second part of the 2015-16 BMW IBSF sliding season gets underway in North America. First on the calendar is the women's skeleton competition in what is a busy two-day weekend. Hello everybody, welcome to Lake Placid. Martin Haven and alongside me Ben Sanford in the booth. And Ben, this is one of the legendary venues in ice sliding, and it's a great track, a real challenge for the drivers.
It really is, and it follows on from the tradition that we have here in Lake Placid. It's a difficult track. The old track in Lake Placid was renowned as being difficult and tough, and then they built this new track in the early 2000s, and it's a fantastic track. It's tight, it's quick. It's bumpy, it's a little bit rough around the edges, but it's a great track to slide on, and the athletes love being here in Lake Placid. The start of the track is, it's not too short, it's not too long, it's sort of a medium start. You come into corner one at the top, do a little bit of steering. You've got to be so quiet on the sled at the top of the track. You want to build that speed as you go down. Corner three, coming into corner three here, have to do a lot of steering in corner three. You normally hit the wall on the left-hand side, and you use that hit to get yourself into corner four. 4, 5, 6, 7 comes at you really quickly, really quick corners, and you need to do some really sharp steering through here. Get to relax through 8, 9 a little bit and get ready for corner 10. Corner 10 is a big corner. You want to have a lot of height in corner 10 and then fly out of corner 10 down into corner 11. Exit of corner 12 can be a little bit tricky. You used to be able to fly out of there a little bit, but they've improved it over the years and it's become a little bit easier. Exit corner 14 and then you're in the straight, which isn't really a straight. It's corner 16, 15 and 16. Corner 17 is a long corner near the bottom of the track, and then 18 and then uphill into corner 19, and hopefully you haven't hit too many walls and you cross the finish line with a fast time.
Well, as you say, with 19 corners, there are so many opportunities to give away speed, aren't there? You can get it wrong in just about all of them.
Yeah, and the transitions on this track are really quick, and so you have to be really aware of what's going on with your steering and what's going on where you are in the track, and you need to be on top of things and thinking ahead.
21 athletes in the World Cup race here for women's skeleton, and last year's winner Lizzie Arnold taking a hiatus. She's having a year away from the sport, and at the moment, therefore, we're looking at the girl who has been the pace setter so far this year, Germany's Tina Hermann. She's had 2 wins out of the 3 races, and she is our World Cup leader. Tina Hermann will come up inside the top 10. She starts in 9th position. Top 10 in the World Cup rankings go into a random draw. And in fact, it's our reigning World Cup champion and European champion, Janine Flock, who will be the first to go. She'll set the time. She's had a good training. And this is a track that really rewards driving. There's Laura Dees, who blew them away yesterday in training. Laura set what would, if it had been an official run, be new track record speeds. We've got a couple of rookies, Renata Kutsina and Anastasia Schlapak from Russia. The Russian stars have all stayed back in Europe. Janine Flock then kicks us off with last year's silver medalist Elizabeth Archer and Jane Channel, her teammate, following. 21 sliders, so one of them will not make the second heat when we cut the field to 20 and go in reverse order. First lead of the new year. It is Austria's Janine Flock, the 26-year-old from Hall in Tyrol, just outside of the Olympic city of Innsbruck, and our World Cup champion for last year. She started sliding on the Innsbruck track when she was just 13 years old and returns in February and early March for the World Championships on her home ice.
Yeah, that has to be the focus of Janine's season. That's a huge race in Eagles, the World Championships, and I'm pretty much sure that all her preparation is focused around peaking at the World Championships.
Start record set by Megan Henry in October last year, 5:22. Long steer, but no toe drag for Janine to try and get that line into the first corner.
Yeah, that was a rough exit of the groove there. You saw the sled pulling away to the right, and you really don't want that at the top of the track. You want the groove to give you a nice line going into the first corner.
Shere's our crash test dummy. She's the girl who's going to find out what the ice is like today. It has been achingly cold all week. Minus 22, the high during the day, down to minus 29 at night. And then the ice has been, well, harder than concrete almost. It's been a very different Lake Placid track all week.
Yeah, like you said, it's been freezingly cold here all week, and all touching there in the straight and before corner 17, putting her into a little bit of a skid. coming through the bottom of the track and then uphill in corner 19 now.
That chicane, 117 kilometers now, 73 miles an hour, and they're still accelerating hard down into the Verizon Heart. 55.52, track record is a 55.04. That is a slightly disappointing run, I think, for Janine. She looked a little quicker than that in training.
Yeah, a couple of mistakes on the track there. Had a little bit of trouble coming out of 12, a little bit of trouble through 15 and 16, and then the groove at the top of the track really wasn't nice to her. We have 4 runners that go down before the sliders, and they're meant to make sure that the timing's working and make sure that the end of the groove is okay. And you see her coming out of the groove there, and the sled just gets bounced across to the right, coming out of corner 14 through 15 and 16 and just touching that wall on the right, and that puts her into a skid before corner 17.
Elizabeth Vache, like everybody else here, mourning the loss of a stalwart of the sport, Malcolm Lloyd Gomer, who passed away just after New Year. Huge figure in the sport, who has helped so many sliders, bobsledders, skeleton sliders alike. And it's a good start for Elizabeth Vache, 5.40.
Yeah, Gomer's going to be sorely missed by the sliding community. One of those figures that was just always present, always there, and yeah, huge loss for the sports.
Beginning of last year, Elizabeth Vache came to Lake Placid as her World Cup debut and went away with a silver medal. Only Lizzie Arnold managed to beat her. It's a very different track here, and Elizabeth Vache looking very wild.
Yeah, she had some really rough lines through 4, 5, 6, 7 there. Not putting the best run down here, just a little bit messy through the middle section of the track. Again, just hitting there before corner 17.
2 kilometers now down on Janine Flock. She's 0.3 of a second behind. Ice temperatures yesterday for the first time were in single digits. It was about about -4.5, -5. Elizabeth throws her heads in her hands there. She knows that was not a good run.
Yeah, she was just behind herself on the track there, it seemed. Like she was too long on too many of the corners and just flopping off the exits, and that's going to cost you a lot of time. And it doesn't feel very good on this track. Coming out of corner 3 there, you take that hit on the left-hand wall and you use that to get into corner 4. Coming out of corner 7 here, just a bit too early on 8. That pushes her away, and she's going to get height on the exit on one runner. She comes out of corner 8 and goes into corner 9.
Yeah, 7's been a problem for everybody all week. 7, 10, 12. Those are the ones that you keep hearing and keep hearing. 27-year-old from North Vancouver, where we'll be in a couple of weeks. Jane Channel, 4th in the World Championships last year, just behind teammate Elizabeth Vache, who took the bronze medal. And her coach making sure she doesn't start before the countdown. 30-second clock was going.
Here we go, here we go.
Again, in that left-hand groove, and Ben, they need to have a look at really cutting that properly, because it seems to end vertically instead of smoothly coming back up onto the ice.
Yeah, Jane's a fantastic athlete at the start of the track, and you saw her coach would have told her that there was a problem with the left groove, and so as soon as the left groove is finishing, she's used her toe to make sure that she doesn't go across to the right.
Yeah.
Interesting, you saw at the start there that her coach Evo came up to her and told her not to go, to wait until the line would turn green, and the start sequence here in Lake Placid is a little bit different from some of the other tracks, and so the coaches have been warned that, you know, they have to make sure that their athletes start at the correct time.
0.04 of a second up. Now through the chicane, 2 kilometers down on Janine Flock.
Yeah, and also having a little bit of trouble through the chicane.
Shoot the chicane straight. It's really tough with a skeleton to do it, though.
Yeah, it's so important to get the timing in corner 14 right. If you can get that timing, get a nice clean line through the chicane.
55.78, second place of the 3 sliders who've been down so far. Those wavy lines in the track, incidentally, that she's just gone over, that's where the bobsled brakes dig into the ice to try and slow the near quarter-ton bobsleds down.
Another shot here of her coming out of corner 3. You see how hit the wall and the sled sort of jumps away from the wall and puts her probably too early into corner 4. She's working to try and stay away from that right-hand wall. Head up a little bit there in the chicane, heading into corner 17.
Going in to get weighed and measured in the finish house. Sophia Griebel, 25-year-old from Oberhof in Germany, started her career as a young luger, as many sliders do. and then converted to skeleton. Best ever results in the World Cup have been 4th places. She had a couple last year. She was 4th in Altenburg at the beginning of the season, yet to ever claim a World Cup medal. She's right on the fringes. That was a good exit.
It was. What often happens is, as more athletes go down the track and go through the groove does get a little bit better, and you can see that she hasn't been thrown to the right of the track like Janine was going first. A little bit early there into corner 4. So important to be on top of your stairs going through 4, 5, 6. Really quick part of the track.
It's a good-looking run from Sophia Griebel, just 100th behind Janine Flock off a 400ths of a second slower start.
Looking nice through this part of the track. Ooh, a little bit too high there in corner 12 and just touching that wall before 13.
Drifting away from her 1700s, away 3/10 back at the slowest speed we've seen so far through the chicane. And she's a considerably smaller athlete than Janine. She's not as tall and she doesn't carry as much weight. And on a long track like this where there's a lot of stairs, is that really to her detriment?
It's highly debatable, and it depends who you ask in the skeleton world.
You're a tall guy, you're 6'6" and whatever, and you obviously think that a long body works well.
Yeah, I think in cold conditions on a track like this, you can definitely be heavier and get away with it and be faster. If the ice is warmer and you have a lot of corners, then maybe it's a detriment to be heavier. But when it's colder and you're heavier, I think that's pretty good.
Well, there is Sofal. Into the weighing shed she goes. And next up on home ice is Annie O'Shea, the 28-year-old from Port Jefferson Station, New York. Former pentathlete and an MBA student. And sweet Annie, you might think. Her warm-up music is the likes of Korn and Slipknot. She obviously likes a bit of headbanging before she goes headbanging. 5:38, fastest start of the competition so far.
Looking nice and relaxed on the sled between 1 and 2. So important at the top of the track to just let the sled run, build that speed as you go down. The less you can do at the top of the track, the faster you're going to be through the middle. 2300s
up. It's by no means a given that the Americans will be better on this track, even though it's their home ice. And for most of them, Lake Placid really is their main training base. Because after the track was iced, everything warmed up and all the ice basically just slid down the walls into the belly of the track. And they all came back here after Christmas going, what? Where is this place? This is not where we left.
There was a nice line through the chicane by Annie.
She's got a really good run going here. Comfortable lead, 2600s over Janine Flock, and a 55.26 for Annie O'Shea. She was in the top 10 in Europe, getting back to the sort of form that she produced 3 or 4 years ago. That might be a really big mental step forward for her. Fastest speeds all the way down the track, and she has the lead, 2600s. Jacqueline Lerling, the 20-year-old from Winterberg in Germany, is waiting at the top.
Annie O'Shea, who's never been on the podium before.
No.
This could be her day.
And again, another tiny athlete. I mean, she's fast, but the phrase pocket rocket really kind of applies there. Annie O'Shea, the leader, from Janine Flock and Jane Channel. 5 of our 21 athletes down. Jacqueline Lerling came so close to winning her first World Cup in Winterberg, her home track, a few weeks ago, just eased out by Sophia Griebel. You sense that the Germans have got so much potential now with their young athletes.
Yeah, Jacqueline's first World Cup level race was the World Championships last year, and we all sort of knew about her beforehand. We'd heard rumours about how good she was, and then she just burst onto the scene at the World Championships and medalled at the World Championships. Was incredible. This is her first full season on the World Cup and having a great season.
20 years old, so you expect still more performance to come from her in terms of experience. She needs to find something at the start as well. A 5:69 getaway means that she's always going to be trying to catch the faster starters.
Looked like she touched the wall a little bit there before corner 10 and then quite high on the exit of 12.
She's bringing the deficit back down. 1:16.8, not bad, but now the gap starts to open up again. She's currently lying in about 4th position. Not much experience on this Lake Placid track. I think this is her 2nd time here, but 3rd place, that's pretty good. So she's behind Annie O'Shea and Janine Flock. She's ahead of Jane Channel and Elizabeth Varjay and her own teammate Sophia Griebel, who's 3,300s behind her.
One of the things about Lake Placid is that you don't have to have perfect lines. If you stay relaxed and you let the sled run, you don't get into too much trouble. You can still be really quick.
Yeah, there are some tracks where even one mistake will just slaughter your time. Here, you can probably carry a couple.
You saw her just coming out of corner 7 there and working hard to try and get into corner 8. Quite high there, coming out of corner 12.
Wow, good transition in 7-8, a little tougher in 12. Now, Laura Dees, let's see what she can produce. Blisteringly fast yesterday. She just did 1 training run yesterday.
Laura's fast at the start, very good athlete. Nice line coming out of the groove there.
5:25, that's a big start. Start record is 5:22.
So we're just using her toe a little bit to correct before corner 2, trying to get that perfect line. Controlling it well there out of corner 3.
And how much has she matured in the last 12 months, from being a hopeful to being a genuine contender every time she steps on the ice.
Taking a late line into corner 10 there.
1900s up at the first split. She's now 0.3 of a second and change up. And top speed, 110.4, 68.5 miles an hour. Loses a little through the chicane. Maybe this is where her lack of weight is starting to count against her.
Putting a nice run together, though.
And a 10th in front of Annie O'Shea. Laura Dees has the lead at the end of the first of her 2 slides.
And her coach there, Eric Benotis, former American slider, he knows this track very well.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Well, Laura, the speed drifting away out of Benham's Bend, but she still had enough to carry it to the line.
Coming out of corner 7 there, nice smooth exit of 7. It's difficult to get a smooth exit there. You see most of the athletes sort of bumping their head, and nice line through the chicane here, just skidding a little bit and touching that wall, but well at the beginning of the chicane.
She had her first World Cup win of her career in the season opener in Altenburg. She might possibly be on her way to another. I'll talk about improvement. Kim Marmans, first time we saw her on the world stage was at the World Championships last year when she was still just 18. Now 19 years old. This Belgian has been one of the big surprises of the season.
Yeah, really fantastic to see Kim and Belgium doing well, following on from the success of the Belgian women's bobsleigh team.
It's building and building, isn't it? They're coming on in leaps and bounds. And Kim's just having such a sensational rookie season. You might expect a rookie to be a bit wide-eyed and deer in the headlights, but she's just taking everything in her stride.
Yeah, she sure does, and you can see her on the sled here, looks so comfortable, nice and relaxed, head down, shoulders down, really good position.
Originally competed in the junior divisions as a German. She has joint nationality, went to school in Bavaria. In fact, she was at school with the girl we'll see next, Tina Hermann, who was 2 or 3 years above her.
Nice position on the sled, coming around corner 17.
And you can often see that the athlete bounces up and down a little bit on the sled, and they look like a kind of a bag of jelly, and that's the indication that they are just relaxing and letting it go. And it's actually a good thing, rather than looking tight and trying to control the sled too much.
It is, and Lake Placid's a bumpy track normally, and bumpier than some of the other tracks anyway, and so you want to be relaxed on the sled. You want to be a shock absorber on your sled and absorb the pressure and the bumps on the track, and the faster you go, it's often a result of the amount that you're relaxed on the sled.
And if you think it's easy to relax going head first at 75 miles an hour, just take a look at these pictures and realize that it's not. And look at her face there. She's not even looking up at the track. She's just got her head buried, looking at the ice right underneath her. And that's confidence. Next up is Germany's Tina Hermann, our World Cup points leader. A silver medal and 2 golds to her credit from 3 starts this year. This is fast turning into Tina Hermann's breakout season. We knew she was good last year. She's going to turn out, I think, to be the best in the world this season. Steer out of the groove, 5:47. That's a decent getaway.
Moving around on the sled a little bit there between corner 1 and 2. Quite a big hit there out of corner 3, and that just bounced her across the track into the right-hand wall. A little bit long there on 4. That's going to make her late through this part of the track.
Of course, the Germans spend a lot of their development years in European tracks, on European tracks, and they tend only to get to come to North America in their sort of last season of Intercontinental Cup before they come to the World Cup. So they're not as experienced, but that's a pretty decent run through the chicane.
Yeah, just having a few problems down the track, not looking too comfortable here in Lake Placid.
Well, compare her body on the sled to Kim Bartman's we saw. You know, she's pretty rigid and really trying to control the sled, stop it getting away from her. And she comes down 400s behind. A little shake of the head there.
German coaches looking happy as usual.
Well, yeah, they're a long way from home here. Jacqueline Lurling in 4th, Tina Hermann in 6th, and Sophia Griebel tied for 8th with Elizabeth Vache. So Tina Hermann tied for 6th with Jane Channel.
Coming out of corner 3 here, she takes quite a hit there. It bounces her up off the sled. The sled goes across the track, and then she just touches the wall before corner 4. Here in corner 12, high on the exit of 12, and that pushes her into the wall before corner 13.
Here we go. Come on now.
Well, now here's another girl who was most impressive in training, Marina Giardoni, former bobsled brakewoman. She's a double junior world champion bobsledder, and exceptional speed at the start.
Here we go. Come on.
Start record 5:22, could fall now. Oh, 100th outside the record, 5:23 from Maria Giardoni.
So good at the start, so fast.
And she is fast improving as well. This is a track that really suits her, I think. She's not quite got the nuances to really get the best out of a place like Eagles, where you've got to be so silent. This is a driver's track. She can really work on this.
Yeah, she can. She's doing a lot of work. She's got a new coach this season, new sled. She's trying to make things better, trying to get better, trying to learn.
In the lead.
In the lead.
Maria Giardoni, as far as I can recall, has never led a heat before either.
This is going to be really close.
Good speed, 200s in it with Laura Dees. Annie O'Shea, a 10th back in 2nd place at the moment.
Wow.
Giardoni tying for the lead, 55-16, she leads, and so does Laura Dees. Well, Marina, 1:16.1 in the chicane, Laura 1:16.6. They weren't the fastest at that stage, but they managed to keep that speed through the heart and to the finish line, and they both have a lead of this first heat.
Yeah, that's a good run from Marina, and she still has things to work on for the second heat. She can get better, definitely.
I think if you come here and slide every day for a decade, you still have things to work on this track.
There's always things to work on, I suppose. Coming through the chicane here, just up that hill, then over the crest and into corner 17.
Big smile from Marina Giardoni, and rightly so. This could be a very big day for her. 10 down and 11 to come. Laura Dees, Maria Giardoni are our joint leaders ahead of Annie O'Shea of the USA. Martin Haven, Ben Sanford watching Donna Crichton, the 30-year-old from Portsmouth on England's south coast. Donna, last year's Intercontinental Cup champion. That's the 2nd tier of sliding, so she's been around this track a few times.
Yeah, Donna's been sliding for a while, and she's a great athlete, really fast at the start. Knows this track quite well. And her coach, Eric, he slid here all his career.
She was one of the big intake of sliders that came in and started in 2004 that included the likes of Lizzie Yarnell. That's when British bobsleigh and skeletons catchnet dragged in a whole new generation of athletes, and they're all still sliding.
Yeah, they've done a fantastic job in the UK of recruiting good athletes and putting them through the program and getting results out of them. Having a nice run here.
Yeah,
oh,
good speed in the chicane, but yeah, hit on the right, hit on the left. Fourth place on the splits. Can she move herself ahead of Annie O'Shea? It's not going to happen. She might be in, she is in fourth, just ahead of Janine Flock by 200ths of a second. Applause from Eric Benotas. It's a good-looking run. So for Eric, his girls, Laura Dees first, Donna Crichton in fourth place.
Yeah, if she can hold on to fourth and maybe get up onto the podium, that'll be her best ever result.
Yep.
It's good work by Donna. Through the chicane here, it's difficult to get through the chicane clean. You're uphill and then over the crest and downhill into corner 17. And
thanks, Gemma.
It's hard to kind of exaggerate how much confidence of winning a championship like the ICC will do for an athlete. You get into that winning mode, and when you step up again, that can really help. Now here's our World Cup rookie, Kendall Wessenberg, back on home ice, a track she knows for the first time this season. She made a really good fist of the European races.
Teammates and the Great Britain sliders, Lordies.
From Modesto, California, so down she was at home for Christmas, and the temperature shock coming back from California to New York State.
nice lines through the top of the track, looking comfortable on the sled. Through corner 7 into corner 8. The track just sort of flattens out a little bit here.
This is a good looking run. Smooth and relaxed. She knows where she is. She knows what she should be doing. Little scorpion on the exit.
It's going to cost her through the bottom part of the track. Straight through the chicane.
Yeah, carries the speed well. What can she dig out of the heart here? Keep on going downhill and then start to climb quite steeply out towards the finish line. And 10th place for Kendall. And that does deserve a round of applause from Tuffy Latour. Speed in chicane, lower than just about anybody, 1:14.9, only one sled slower, and that was Sophia Griebel of Germany. But she comes home in 10th place, ahead of Griebel and last year's silver medalist Elizabeth Vace.
Corner 12 here, it catches a lot of athletes too high on the exit. Ouch, that looks like it hurts, but when you're sliding, it doesn't feel that bad.
Well, you know, and that's why they spend hours stretching and being that flexible, because that would break my spine. I'm sorry, there's no way it wouldn't. Well, next up, a very occasional World Cup competitor from Japan, Takako Oguchi, the 21-year-old. Started sliding back in 2003. He competed in a couple of World Cup races last year and did the World Championships.
Good support by that one supporter there.
Yeah. Well, race started 8:30 Friday morning here, so everybody's on their way to work while we're coming down the mountain. 5:40, not a bad start either from Takako.
A little bit late there into corner 3 maybe. It does well on the
Not a
exit.
hit though.
No, yeah, did well there to correct it and get that line into corner 4. A little bit long there on corner 5.
6th fastest getaway. A top 10 run in the first heat would really boost her confidence. It's Samarit's last year since she started a World Cup race. World Championships in Winterberg, she was in 14th place at the end. I mean, that was a really strong run for a girl who's got very little top-tier experience. 13th place. This is putting her at the tail of the field at the moment.
Yeah, just a few mistakes on the track.
56.21, the lowest speed we've seen through the chicane, 114.5 kilometers an hour, still 71 miles an hour. I mean, the head-first speed here is insane.
Here you see her through the chicane. She's going uphill here at the moment, and so when you touch on the right-hand wall, it's going to cost you a little bit more.
So Takako Oguchi from Japan. Next up is a girl who celebrated her birthday yesterday. So, belated happy birthday to now 20-year-old Karina Meyer. Youth Olympic Games silver medalist at Eagles Austria in 2012. She was the Junior World Championship bronze medalist last season. This is a girl that Mickey Grumberger believes has got huge potential for the future, but she is absolutely tiny.
And you can see there she used the right groove, and the right groove seems to be better than the left groove today, which is interesting because most of the athletes have been using the left groove.
Sometimes it's what takes you. Sometimes you get right-handers who push with their left hand. Most right-handers will tend to push with their right hand. And then it's which handle on the sled you push with and which groove you put the weight over, and there's all sorts of possible
Gets quite
options.
complicated quite quickly.
Yeah. I'm sure it must take a year or two to really work out what works best for you, never mind what works best for anyone else.
Karina's looking good here, having a nice run. Doesn't quite have the speed through the chicane as some of the other athletes, but it's a nice, clean run. Going uphill here and across the finish line.
14th place, so just behind Takako Oguchi. That should see her safely into the second heat. And quite a number of the skeleton athletes particularly have not seen this track before. Obviously, I'm not sure that Karina's been here before.
You can just see the sled wobbling around, so the right groove maybe isn't as quick as the left groove, but the end of it is definitely better. You see here the sled just moving away to the left, and that's exactly what you want to happen when you're in the right groove. You want to get quite an early entrance into corner one.
Hasn't been used so much as well, so might not be broken up. Well, next up is Joske Leconte, 28-year-old from the Netherlands, and her coach, former Austrian slider Martin Rettel. Another man whose knowledge of the Eagles track will be invaluable for the World Championships.
Joske's been sliding for a while and had a good season last season, changed sleds, immediately got some results, and is really looking to improve this season.
Very late on the
Foster
exit.
at the bottom, that's corner two. Went late into corner two. If you go late into corner two, it's almost impossible to fix it. You're just going to drop off the end, and that's going to put you late into corner three.
And you're still cursing yourself for it way down here through the Devil's Highway.
Yeah, mistakes at the top of the track are going to affect you the whole way down the track. It's going to be much more costly than a mistake a metre before the finish line.
That was shady too, and down the labyrinth, and again that looked punishing. Out of Benham's Bend, shoots the chicane, slowest we've seen, 1:12.4. This is going to put her right at the tail of the field.
And when you hit those walls, it's just you and the sled hitting those walls.
Yeah.
You're not wearing any protection.
They will be black and blue. In fact, it was, I mean, their main concern this week has been how achingly cold it is. -20 during the day, and they're doing 70, 75 miles an hour in Lycra.
And I can confirm absolutely that when you hit walls when it's -20, they hurt a lot more than when you hit walls when it's 0 degrees.
Yeah, well, your body is already tense from the cold. It's a wild ride from Joske, trying to let the sled do as much work as possible, but Bromley a little out of control there.
Yeah, corner two there really cost her.
Next up, 28-year-old Michaela Widmer. Lourdes Marina Giordoni tied for the lead. So one Swiss leads. Michaela slid from 2009 to 2014 for Canada. But courtesy of her Swiss father, she's now sliding for Switzerland. Race winner in the Intercontinental Cup over the last couple of seasons.
That's a cool helmet.
That's a stunning looking helmet. 5.60 the getaway, 15th fastest. It's a track, of course, that is basically a Canadian. She knows well, because this will have been on the North America's Cup when she first started, Intercontinental Cup as well. So this is kind of home ice for her.
Yeah, sort of. Close enough.
Close enough, yeah, absolutely. It's within, you know, it's where she started, where she learned.
Yeah, a little bit sideways there between 10 and 11. Head up a little bit through this part of the track.
15th at the start. She's in 14th place on the splits. 13th place now. She's picked off Oguchi and Maya and LeConte. And she could end up in the top 10. She looks pretty relaxed. Head up a little. 13th place at the line. Okay, so behind Sophia Griebel, but ahead of Takako Oguchi. And knowing where you are and where you're going, and yeah, it's the silly things, isn't it, when you come here and you know it well, where you buy your groceries and where you can get your laundry done and all the other stuff that you need to know when you're on tour. It's kind of familiar territory for her.
Yeah, being on tour is one of those things. The more you do it, the more used you get to traveling, and then the less the traveling and everything outside of the race is going to affect you, and the more you can concentrate on performance.
Little skid off Shady. And, drew that down the straight. Great bit of artwork on the sled for Jacqueline Narracott from Brisbane in Queensland, 25-year-old. Incidentally, thinking of Queenslanders, her former driver, Astrid Locke-Wilkinson, when she was a brakewoman, is expecting her first baby in just a few weeks. So I want to say congratulations and lots of love to Queensland for her as well. Jacqueline started as a brakewoman, didn't fancy driving a bobsled, and converted to skeleton. She's got that bobsledder speed and physique as well.
Had a really good week of training here. I think she was third in yesterday's training, only took one run. So this is going to be interesting. If she can put down the top run, it'll be easily her best result.
She enjoyed the Christmas New Year break in the UK, bit of sightseeing.
Very nice run.
Looking good on the track.
She really is.
Smooth.
This must be killing you, Ben, as a Kiwi. The animosity, the friendly rivalry between New Zealand and Australia is always bubbling under. It's like England-Scotland or England-Wales.
Of course, if we had a New Zealander in the field, then they'd be winning.
Well, we've got one in the men's field, so, and he had a good training run. This is a very good run. 4th place on the split times for Jacqueline Narracott.
That's fantastic.
That's a great run. That is comfortably her best run that I've ever seen, 55.42. And this is exactly what she looked like in training, relaxed, quite chilled. And the Aussies come over here, Ben, and the Kiwis do as well, because it's as close as anywhere else, but it's a bit cheaper to live than in Europe.
Yeah,
so they know these places.
Lake Placid has been incredible to smaller nations and athletes from smaller nations. Tony Carlino, the guy who runs the track here in Lake Placid, you know, gives us a great deal. You can buy season passes here at the track. It's cheap. Lake Placid is cheap. It's a good place to come and train. You can get the ice time that you want. You can come here and just train as much as you want.
Well, I'm going to claim that result as the benefits of being in England over Christmas. I'm not sure how it works, but it's got to be. Katie Tannenbaum of the Virgin Islands. Now, if we talk about temperature shock, she was on the beach Christmas and New Year. It was plus 25, 30. She comes here, it's nearly minus 30. 30-year-old certainly wrapping up warm. Well, she was racing here earlier this season in the Intercontinental Cup. Had 2 pretty good runs.
A little bit late there going into corner 2, and that's going to make that transition between 2 and 3 difficult. You saw her skidding there a little bit. Like you said, she's been here a few times before, competed in the World Championships here back in 2012.
Katie, she's been an occasional World Cup competitor. This is her first full season on the World Cup. And her key now will be to make the second heat. Big height on the exit.
Down through the chicane, touching on the chicane. Oh, big skid going into 17.
Yeah, lots of sideways moments, dragging speed out of the sled. She's going to be in 18th place at the line, but will she make the second heat? It's between her and 2 Russian rookies, you've got to think.
And you saw her hit the wall there right before the finish line, and it doesn't cost you a lot of time, but it can sure hurt there.
So Katie Tannenbaum in 18th spot. 3 sleds to come, 2 positions left in the race. One of the next 3 girls, you've got to think, is guaranteed to get in. The other 2, I have no clue. But look at that. That's about as sideways as I've ever seen a sled through the chicane.
Yeah,
wow.
And going sideways is not the fast way to go.
Yeah. Well, you know that's how you slow skis down and how you slow ice skates down. It works the same here. A World Cup debut now for 22-year-old Renata Kutsina from Russia. Started back in 2011.
Here we go.
Picked up by the national team in 2013. Second ranked in the Europa Cup at the moment. She had a second and a third in the season opener in Altenburg. She's never competed even at ICC level. So this is a huge leap up in the quality of the field for Kutina.
Yeah, it's great to see new sliders coming onto the World Cup. Having a nice run so far.
Well, the big Russian stars, men and women in skeleton, are all back home.
It's going to be late into corner 6.
So they're clearly focusing on getting themselves or keeping themselves in Europe and building up to the World Championships to try and earn that vital funding.
Head just popping up there a little bit as she came out of corner 10, high on the exit of 12 and into that right-hand wall.
Well, out of Whiteface, she was in 10th place. She's down to 16th, 17th on the splits now, and 1:12.2. That is slower than anybody out of the chicane. She's going to drop, I think, behind Katie Tannenbaum. And again, she's never even seen North America, never mind this track before in her life.
It's a difficult track to learn in 1 week here in Lake Placid. There's a lot of corners and they come at you really quickly, and it's not like other tracks where you have some time between the corners. You know, you're in 4, 5, 6 before you even know it. And so see her here in corner 12, hitting that wall there. Coming out of 19 really early, head up, touching the wall on the left and then the right, and that's going uphill. And
huge skids and lots of impacts with the wall. Kutina is going to be black and blue under her speed suit, but will it be her that misses out on a second heat, or one of her teammates? She is in front of Katie Tannenbaum, so Tannenbaum on the bubble in 19th place. Now, Olga Potilitsina, those of you with a decent memory will remember, won the season opener in 2011-12 at Eagles in Austria. The girl from Siberia, like all the other Russians, celebrating the Eastern Orthodox Christmas Day yesterday, the final day of training. Well, when she burst onto the scene, it was her first ever World Cup race. We'd never heard of her. We could barely pronounce her name, and she won it. We thought, oh my goodness. And she's never been able to really repeat that performance since.
Olga's a good slider. She's been sliding, as you say, for a number of years. It's interesting to see that she's not on the World Cup at the moment.
She's not in ICC either. She's down in Europa Cup, and she's not even the best of these 3 Russians in Europa Cup. She's been trailing Kutina this year. She's 3rd in the standings of Europa Cup. But Olga's got the knowledge, and she at least has been here before. That shows. She's in 14th place, so she's going to make the heat and push Katie Tannenbaum down to 20th position. Oh, goodness.
Ouch.
Yeah, yikes. Well, 16th place.
Had a little bit of trouble coming out of 17 and into 18 there, and then the exit of 19 looked pretty sore.
Yep.
That was one of my most disliked corners when I was sliding on this track, was corner 19. I always seem to hit that wall. Around corner 3 here, taking that touch on the left-hand side, trying to control the sled and get that line into corner 4.
Up next, we have Anastasia Shlapov of the Russian Federation.
Yep.
Just when you think you're about to finish the run.
Yeah, right to the end, and that probably cost her 2 or 3 spots. It's tight down at that bottom end of the top 15. And here's our 21st and final athlete, another rookie, Anastasia Shlapak, just 20 years old, 4th in the World Cup rankings. She was 2nd in the opener at the first race of Sigulda. And according to our records, she's not just a skeleton athlete, she also drives women's bobsleigh.
Looks fast at the start.
Well, you know, and she clearly drives well. She's the 4th women's bobsledder in the Russian team in their Europa Cup squad.
That is a good start time.
Oh, going to go late into 2 here.
5:33, 4th fastest start. So we're looking at another dynamite pocket rocket from Russia. Yelena Nikita is back home, but we've got somebody who starts nearly as quickly in Schleiper.
Yeah, messy top of the track though, skidding a lot, working on the sled. Not quite on the right line.
Ninth place at Shady 2, and the sun's already on it. The shades will be coming down.
Decent line through the middle of the track though, but I have a feeling the top of the track's going to hurt her at the bottom here.
She's already dropped to 19th place at the moment. Katie Tannenbaum on the bubble in 20th. And Schlapak stay in the race. Oh, everything going against her, but at the line she is in, and Katie Tannenbaum misses the cut. So 56-7-1 for Anastasia Schlapak. She is just behind Joska LeConte and ahead of her teammate Renata Kuitsina, who is 20th place. Katie Tannenbaum misses the cut.
This is corner 18, and 18 is a small corner at the bottom of the track, and one of the things you never ever want to do is hit the wall on the left-hand side before corner 18, because then it puts you in late and you just fly off the exit and land on your back. And she got away with it, but that was lucky.
Well, she makes the cut in a tough field on her World Cup debut as a skeleton athlete. When's she going to make her World Cup debut as a bobsled athlete, I wonder? Laura Dees and Marina Giardoni of Switzerland are our joint leaders after the first heat. Laura with the second quickest start. Marina outstarted her by 200ths. We could have a big tussle here for the medals. Annie O'Shea a 10th away in third after the first heat. She could win from there. Jacqueline Narracott of Australia in fourth. Donna Crichton in fifth. And Janine Flock, the World Cup champion of last year, in sixth position. Janine third in last year's season opener here. Elizabeth Varche, who was second, lies down in 12th position. So there's a lot of changes here, but look at that leaderboard. A 10th covering the top three, nothing covering the top two. And Jacqueline Narracott, great first run for her. Jacqueline Lerling, the best of the Germans, in 7th position. Kim Marmont, another blinding first run from the Belgian rookie on her first World Cup race on this track, in 8th ahead of Jane Chandler, and Tina Herman tied for 9th. And we've got a couple of ties further back. Elizabeth Varche and Sophia Griebel also tied. Katie Tannenbaum in 21st, eased out by the Russian rookies, Schlapak and Kutsina. So Tannenbaum will join the spectators for the second heat. We'll go 20 down to 1 in our second heat. And that will be coming up in a little over 40 minutes from now. So we will go in reverse order, and Janine Flock, who started the first heat, will be trying to get herself back into the podium as Laura Dees defends her lead. She'll be the last to go on the ice. Join us for all the action from Lake Placid. Until then, from Ben Sanford and Martin Haven, it's goodbye for now.